But I tell you what, speaking of great traditional country music, don't we miss Joe Diffie already, man?
Oh, you ain't kidding. We've been talking a lot about Joe lately over the past few weeks. Everybody I've had on, I've had tell me a story about Joe or something like that. And it's been a terrible year for music lovers with legends passing away. Kenny Rogers, Joe, John Prine.
Oh, okay.
It's been tough.
And that brings us back to what we were talking about. John Prine, oh my God, who, and I will be, I'll be curious to see over the next couple of decades, who's the next John Prine? Oh my God.
Will we get another John Prine?
Just unbelievable. Man, somebody better figure out how to keep Willie propped up. And he's another one of the best songwriters ever and legends. And I will, when we get back to normal and getting back to being able to see concerts again, any of our legends that are still with us, I learned that the hard way. If you're thinking about going to see Loretta or Willie or, just any of our legends, you just got to support them while they're still having the strength and the vigor and the desire to get out there and perform for people, because you don't get to keep them forever.
It's good advice. And I'm sure coming up around about the same time Joe did, you probably played a lot with him.
Oh, gosh, we played so many state fairs together. It's not funny. He was always great songs. He picked really good material. He was a heck of a singer. Yeah,
we just had a little tribute show to Joe a couple weeks ago. So you also keep bringing up Lori Morgan.
I didn't know Lori for the whole time for most of my career, I did not know Lori very well.
Really?
Even though we did a brief tour together. We did a little run in the mid-'90s. But she actually came out at radio just a little before me. But then we got to be friends, because that tour, it was called the Grits and Glamour Tour, and we still do the occasional date, but we toured off and on together for about 8 or 9 years. And then I've really loved, the Chicks with Hits tour is myself, Terry Clark, and Susie Boggess, and what great ladies they are. And so that's kind of been a fun thing of the last few years of my touring life, because when I first started out, you tend to be the only woman on a bill. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be all the guys, be a male headliner, and then there'll be a couple bands, and then you'd be the token chick, right? And rarely, not many women headliners, hardly ever packaged more than one female on a show, on a concert bill, very rarely. So we didn't really get to tour together. And so it's been so much fun getting to tour with other women. And, I always say, rolling down the road in the tour bus, it's like a rolling slumber party. And it's just been something different and a lot of fun. And then to get to compare notes with other women on what it's been like for them, because it's and Lori will talk a lot about this, how it's really different, I think, being a woman in show business, because everybody knows sometimes women juggle a little bit more than the guys do. I don't know why that is. There's still somehow a little bit of a definition of, the division of labor sometimes. No offense, present company. I'm sure you do all the housework.
No.
But well, they say that men are really good at compartmentalizing. And when a woman goes on the road, she's worried about who's going to, if the kids aren't with her, how's that all being handled? You're orchestrating all that from the road. You're worried about all the, did the dishwasher get fixed this weekend? This week, did Jimmy get all his homework assignments turned in? It's really hard to shut that off. So anyway, it's been interesting talking to other women about how they've dealt with that.
Yeah, that's a dynamic, Pam, honestly, that I never even considered, how it would be or could be more difficult for women on the road than men because of what you just said, that motherly instinct that kicks in and all that. I never thought of that.
Yeah, and, I mean, not every, sometimes I'll see articles and, the stars that do well enough to have an entourage and, there's a separate bus for the family, and there's a nursery in the separate bus, and you're like, what? I don't have any of that. If you're not at the tip top, it can be really hard to travel like that with kids. So
for sure. Who else from your time period, Pam, did you really enjoy hearing from?
Oh, from the 90s. Well, I mentioned Chapin, and Kathy Mattea's gotten to be a good friend. She was doing some neat stuff. Dwight Yoakam was a favorite of mine.
Yeah.
And, Kenny Rogers was still having hits in the 90s, so you mentioned Kenny.
Yeah.
Of course, Alan Jackson, talk about a songwriter. Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm.
Great, unbelievable song. Like his body of work, I can't believe he wrote all those songs. If you go back through it really a singular talent. Of course, Vince Gill was always one of my favorites whenever I get to work with Vince. They were all great. Brooks and Dunn, Brooks and Dunn were on my label, so I got to know them a little bit. And I'd known Kix. We'd actually written together before either one of us had anything going. And, we were just staff songwriters. And then he, joined up with Ronnie, and the rest is history. But there was so much great music.
I was coming of age in the 90s, so I was lucky enough to turn on the radio, and I was able to hear all of them. And that's why I started this show, is because I just feel like that has not been matched, certainly since so many great artists came out of that time period, yourself included.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's fortunate for us, the music, it is holding up. It doesn't feel dated. It still feels like you can go out there and be proud of what you're doing, and not just feel like a nostalgia act. It still seems really valid and relevant. That's a good thing. I
would agree with that 100%. And then circling back to your music, Pam, what was your favorite song that you ever did? I asked that to every artist who comes on with me, so now it's your turn.
I really am not sure that I have a favorite per se, but I am so thankful that I found the song Maybe It Was Memphis.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's my favorite too.
Good deal.
What was it about that one that made it so popular, though? I mean, you could still turn on the radio and hear that from time to time, and of course on my show you're going to hear it. So
part of it was the timing, and there was a kind of a Garth Brooks had just had there's another one of my favorites. Garth Brooks had just had, remember the song Shameless?
Oh, yeah.
And how big it was, and it was almost like a rock anthem, kind of country, but rock, and so that was out there, and that was a sound that was just radio friendly at that time, and just a real passionate song, and a song that people could see in their minds when you heard the lyric, and so it just worked.
And it's something about when Memphis is mentioned in a song, it seems to turn people's heads. There was a lot of songs about Memphis. There still are. It's something about Memphis, right?
Yeah, it just has a good ring to it.
Yeah. So, and a lot of good music, of course, came out of Memphis and still does as well. Pam, I really appreciate you coming on the show with us tonight, and it's been such a pleasure catching up with you. Was there anything else that you had in mind or wanted to say before we let you go?
No, just thank you for mentioning the new album, and it goes on sale April 24th. You can stream it all over the place, all the places where people stream music. And my heart goes out to all the people in your area that may be listening, that are doing what they can to help other people at this time, that's so challenging. All the healthcare workers and all the people on the front lines, and just really, I just send my love to your listeners, and I can't wait to see, get back out on the road and see everybody again and do what we love to do.
Well, you've got tons and tons of fans here in Southeast Missouri, Southern Illinois, Western Kentucky, who are listening to this, and that love is going right back to you. And by the way, those listeners can get onto PamTillis.com for information on touring schedule once touring gets back on track. Pam's also got a Facebook page. And again, the new album, April 24th, you can get that wherever you download music as well. Looking for a Feeling. Pam Tillis, our guest tonight. Pam, thanks again.
Thank you, Glenn. Take care.